Welcome. Autograph Fisherman here, and I have another profile video for you. Today it is Brad Park, born July 6, 1948. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Height 6 feet 0 inches, 183 centimeters. Weight 190 pounds, 86 kilograms, 13 stone 8 pounds. Position defense. Shot left. Played for New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, Detroit Red Wings, National Team Canada, NHL Draft Second Overall, 1966, New York Rangers, playing career 1968 to 1985. Douglas Bradford Park, born July 6, 1948, is a Canadian former professional ice hockey player, a defenseman. Park played in the National Hockey League (NHL) for the New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, and Detroit Red Wings. Considered to be one of the best defensemen of his era, he was named to an All-Star team 7 times. The most productive years of his career were overshadowed by superstar Bobby Orr, with whom he played with for a brief time. Unlike Orr's, however, his teams never hoisted the Stanley Cup. Park was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1988. In 2017, he was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. Playing career. As a youth, Park played in the 1960 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament with the Scarborough Lions, was a member of the Junior B Toronto Westclairs, 1964 to 1965, and then the Junior A Toronto Marlboros, 1965 to 1968. He was drafted by the New York Rangers in the first round, second overall, in the 1966 NHL Amateur Draft, and after a brief stint with the minor league Buffalo Bisons of the AHL, began playing for the Rangers in 1968. New York Rangers. Park developed into the best Rangers defenseman, whose offensive skill, stick handling, and pugnacity made him popular with local fans and media. He even drew occasional comparisons with the Boston Bruins superstar Bobby Orr, universally acclaimed to be the greatest at his position in hockey history. Years afterward, Park remarked, "I saw no reason to be upset because I was rated second to Bobby Orr. After all, Orr not only was a top defenseman in the game, but he was considered the best player ever to put on a pair of skates. There was nothing insulting about being rated number 2 to such a superstar." Park was made the alternate captain of the Rangers and briefly served as their captain. In 1972, after the team's top scorer, Jean Ratelle, was lost due to a broken ankle, he led the Rangers past the defending Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens in the first round and the West Division champion Chicago Blackhawks in the semifinals of the playoffs. The Rangers advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they fell to the Boston Bruins in 6 games. After the Rangers staved off elimination in Game 5 at Boston, Bruins assistant captain Phil Esposito said famously, "If the Rangers think they're going to beat us in the next 2 games, they're full of Park spelled backwards." Sure enough, the Bruins put them away in Game 6 at Madison Square Garden. Park finished a distant second to Orr in the Norris Trophy vote. When the upstart World Hockey Association tried to lure Park away, the Rangers re-signed him to a $200,000 a year contract that made him briefly the highest-paid player in the NHL. In the 1972 Summit Series, with Orr unable to play due to injury, Park emerged as a key contributor to Team Canada's series over the Soviets, being named Best Defenseman of the series. After opening the 1975-76 season with their worst start in 10 years, the Rangers began to unload its high-priced veterans. Park, along with Jean Ratelle and Joe Zanussi, was traded to the Boston Bruins in a November 7 blockbuster deal that also sent Phil Esposito and Carol Vadnais to the Rangers, one that shocked everyone. The New York press and public had felt that Park, 27 at the time, was overweight, overpaid, and over the hill, as he was facing unfavorable comparisons to Dennis Potvin. Boston Bruins. While Esposito and Vadnais were effective players for the Rangers, the team remained mired at the bottom of the division after the trade, and Rangers general manager Emile Francis was eventually fired. Contrary to expectations that the Rangers had gotten the better end of the trade, the struggling Bruins were instantly rejuvenated and soon again became one of the NHL's best teams, despite the departures of Phil Esposito and Bobby Orr. taking over the mantle of leadership from Orr, whose career was threatened by injury and who would soon leave the team. Park continued his success under coach Don Cherry. Park had previously been an end-to-end puck carrier, but with the Bruins, he was told by Cherry to concentrate on defense. Getting over his unpopularity in Boston when he was a member of the arch-rival Rangers, Park made a relatively smooth transition to his new team, even hitchhiking a ride from two teenagers at 1 a.m. after his car ran out of gas, and Park later rewarded them with free tickets to the next Boston home game. From 1977 to 1979, Cherry's Lunch Pail Ace captured 3 division titles for the Bruins. Park earned 2 first All-Star team selections, while coming in second in the Norris Trophy race twice in a Bruins uniform, with 1977 to 78 being considered one of his finest seasons. In 1977 and 1978, Park was a key contributor to Boston's back-to-back appearances in the Stanley Cup Finals, where they lost to the Montreal Canadiens both times. His last highlight with Boston came in Game 7 of the Adams Division Finals against the Buffalo Sabres in the 1983 playoffs, when Park scored the game-winning goal in overtime and helped Boston advance into the conference finals. Park's career overlapped with the first 4 years of the emerging superstar defenseman of the Bruins, Ray Bourque, from 1979 to 1983. Detroit Red Wings. The following season, 1983 to 84, Park signed with the Detroit Red Wings as a free agent. He won the Bill Masterton Trophy for perseverance that same year, having set a record for assists by a Red Wings defenseman, 53. After the 1985 season, still an effective player but hobbled by repeated knee injuries, he announced his retirement. The next year, he served as Detroit's head coach before he was fired on June 3, 1986. Retirement and personal life. Soon after his retirement and before he coached the Red Wings, he served as a color commentator and studio analyst for CTV and ESPN NHL broadcasts in between. In 1988, Park was elected in his first year of eligibility to the Hockey Hall of Fame in his hometown of Toronto. Park was one of 5 plaintiffs along with Dave Forbes, Rick Middleton, Ulf Nielsen, and Doug Smale in Forbes versus Eagleson, a class action lawsuit filed in 1995 on behalf of about 1,000 NHL players who were employed by NHL teams between 1972 and 1991 against Alan Eagleson, the league, and its member clubs. The players alleged that the NHL and its teams violated the racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations act by colluding with Eagleson to enable him to embezzle from the National Hockey League Players Association, and that the 4-year statute of limitations in civil racketeering cases began when Eagleson was indicted in 1994. The lawsuit was dismissed on August 27, 1998, in United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania by Thomas Newman O'Neill, Jr., who ruled that the statute of limitations expired because it had begun in 1991 when the players were made aware of the allegations against Eagleson. O'Neill's decision was upheld in the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit on October 17, 2000. Park has resided on the North Shore of Massachusetts and on Sebago Lake in Maine for almost 40 years with his wife Jerry. 24. He has 5 children and 8 grandchildren. His autobiography, Straight Shooter, The Brad Park Story, was published in August 2012. Honors and Achievements. Named to the first All-Star team in 1970, 1972, 1974, 1976, and 1978. Named to the second All-Star team in 1971 and 1973. Runner-up in Norris Trophy voting in 1970, 1971, 1972, 1974, 1976, and 1978. Received both the most first-team All-Star nominations, other than Earl Seibert, who retired before the trophy was awarded, and was runner-up for the Norris more times without winning the Norris than any other defenseman in NHL history. Played in the NHL All-Star Game in 1970, 1971, 1972, 1973, 1974, 1975, 1976, 1977, and 1978. Won the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy in 1984. The book Play the Man, Dodd, Mead and Company. written by Brad Park and Stan Fischler, was published in 1971. Retired as the leading defense scorer in Rangers history and the second leading defense scorer in Bruins history to Bobby Orr. At the time of his retirement, had played the most seasons in league history for a player never missing the playoffs. Currently 13th all-time in NHL history in defense scoring. Elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1988 in his first year of eligibility, along with Butch Goring, one of the last two active players who had played in the 1960s. In 1998, he was ranked number 49 on the Hockey News list of the 100 greatest hockey players. In the 2009 book 100 Ranger Greats, was ranked number 11 all-time of the 901 New York Rangers who had played during the team's first 82 seasons. Well, that was another player profile. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about Brad Park, let me know in the comments. I would like to read them. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.